for the Life at Humber team. So welcome to today's live. And if you're watching the replay of this video, just type it out in the comments and by saying replay. So to begin, I'll have folks here introduce themselves, their role at Humber, their personal pronouns, and what do you like to do when you're taking a break from the screen? So let's start off with Dana.
Hi, my name is Dana, and I'm a registered nurse, and I'm also the health promotion coordinator at Humber. My pronouns are she, her. And to take a break from the screen, I really like to go outside and take a walk, but not today because there's a blizzard.
Right? Oh man, it's snowy outside. Feels kind of cozy though. Like I'm like, yay, I want to be inside today. All right, Elliot.
Nice. Well, hey Dana, thanks for joining us. And I'm Elliot. I'm also a digital content creator here at the Life at Humber team, and my pronouns are he and him. It's actually kind of like the blizzard right now. It's nice and snow. I like the snow, so it's good to have the cold weather with the snow.
Yeah. Do you play like winter sports?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice.
Like all right, David.
Hi everyone. My name is David. I'm also a film and television student here at Humber. I also have a Bachelor of Science from previous schooling, so I've been in school for probably way too long. So for my breaks, what really helps me keep me away from the screen during my breaks too is if I put my feet up, because there's nowhere on my computer desk for me to put my feet up. So if I do that, I have to be away from the computer. So I feel like that's a little hack that I have for myself to just take a bit of screen break.
Yeah, just really relaxing there. Like, I can finally put my feet up. Elliot, I don't think you answered.
I didn't realize. I forgot that part of the question. Do you mind saying it again? What was the question?
So what do you do to take a break from the screen?
What do I do to take a break from the screen? For me personally, right now, it's just been actually taking time to work on my fitness, whether that's going for a run or working out or just taking a break, going for a walk, listening to music. That's what I've been doing. So.
All right, that's great. Do you ever run in the snow?
Probably today, yes, because my roommates, they want to go for a run. So
wow, the commitment.
So I think it's happening.
Wow. Okay. So again, my name is Bree, and I go by the pronouns she and her, and I'm in the graphic design program. And to take a break from the screen, I like to knit. So right now I am knitting a scarf, and I haven't knitted in a while, but I'm like, you know what? I feel like knitting because like it just feels like something really tactile. And being a graphic designer, I like make things on the screen a lot. So it's nice to make something off of the screen. All right. So that's amazing. Thank you all for being here. And Bell Let's Talk Day is happening in 2 days. So we thought it would be a great idea to go live and speak candidly about its importance and some helpful self-care tips and more. So for folks at home, get cozy, grab a cup of coffee or whatever you have at home, a snack. And if you have any questions during the live, let us know in the chat and we will get to them after the live. So let's get started. My first question is for Dana. So what is Bell Let's Talk Day?
Well, Bell Let's Talk Day is a day put aside in January, usually at the end of January, where the company Bell started in September 2010. They started this initiative to have the conversation going about mental health. And along with that, they are donating 5 cents for every Bell users text, as well as social media, Facebook posts, Instagram posts, Twitter. What else is out there? All of them. If you hashtag Bell Let's Talk, or even repost one of their videos, then they will donate 5 cents for each of those activities. And that funding actually goes to institutions, companies, anyone that's doing any work and research in mental health. So it's just been really beneficial to help bring the awareness, number one, and as well as helping out with funding. So that's what Bell Let's Talk Day is. And it's also a great day for everyone to join in the conversation and to show support for those who maybe struggle with mental health and just bring awareness for mental health wellness.
Thank you so much for that, Dana. So again, using the hashtag Bell Let's Talk on every applicable tweet, local call, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, like all of that stuff. If you're using the hashtag, then you're contributing to the conversation. So my next question is for everyone. Why is mental health wellness important for college students?
I,
I
I,
know,
gu- I
big
guess I
question,
can.
right?
Yeah, I guess I can start with this since I've been in school for a long time. Uh, like I find school especially post secondary is that it's a very kind of a unique environment in that and the challenges that it presents is kind of I don't think many people have necessarily, unless maybe every high school or maybe their upbringing is different. That sometimes that there's the mental health considerations of the challenges of post secondary aren't necessarily considered, so to speak. So, like for example, it's not like a fixed schedule or like a work day. Classes not only can vary um, from term to term, but then you're expected to do homework on the off hours, and so it's very difficult to kind of plan things. And so for people that might not have kind of um, time management skills, things like stress and anxiety can build up, especially with managing deadlines, right? And so and I find college is kind of I'm trying to think of a word, but you really kind of get that in school for sure. So I think making sure that students are equipped for that, um, it is a very important skill or aspect to kind of focus on for students.
For sure. You brought up
Mhm.
a lot of great points there, David. And I definitely relate to you that I've also been in school for a long time. Before my program here at Humber, I was also at U of T. So I feel like just my whole life has been in school. And like I'm still learning and getting the hang of being in
Yeah.
school, like learning about time management is it's not an easy thing. It's no joke. Like you really have to be on top of your stuff. And if you feel like, if you slip a little bit, you feel like that snowballs. So definitely like learning time management is such a useful skill, but it's like like a lifelong learning
Yeah.
thing that you have to do and constantly adapt. So Elliot, do you have
Yeah, I was just
anything?
saying to jump onto that. You're talking about the snowball effect, and that in itself um, is kind of like burnout. Like you want to be healthy to be able to avoid that, because once you start getting into that effect, it feels like it just keeps going, and then you need that time to spend on yourself to make sure you're not only healthy like physically but mentally and even emotionally, just like you're making sure you're taking care of yourself so you can continue to be your best throughout the days and be able to function as you I guess you would, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think that yeah, college is such a unique environment, and in that like we're in such a transitionary period where everything is super uncertain. So like you have the added pressure of like being in school and having your job. The added pressure of that is like trying to figure out what your career is afterward and sitting in that uncertainty, and that causes a lot of stress in itself, right? So like I feel like a lot of the stuff that we do with even like Life at Humber is trying to understand that voice and speak through that voice. So yeah, just like starting that conversation is super important because it goes a long way for people to know that they're not alone in feeling this way and they have someone to reach out and talk to.
And even adding on to that too is just taking care of your own mental health helps you just continue to be you. You're not, like you're not stressed, you're not worried, you're able to fully be present in the moment and do what you love to do, whether that's within your program or your own little hobbies or just being yourself. So it just helps you, I guess,
Yeah,
in
for
general.
sure. Like
Yeah.
you're able to put your best foot forward when you,
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I'm
yeah,
trying to get to.
Yeah, you don't
exactly.
want to be the person, going out to dinner with friends and then, peeking at some study notes at the, while you're waiting for your order and stuff like that, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Uh, Dana, what would you like to add?
I was just thinking, I too was in school for a very long time, 8 years. Thank you very much. Um, and really, really think about it. When you're in post secondary, it's almost like you have multiple jobs. Like each class is a job. It has deadlines. There's assignments. There's people to work with. So there's a lot of juggling and balancing. And especially for students that are coming from, let's say, straight from high school, maybe from their parents' house, and then having to be on their own for the first time, and the whole transition, just that transitional piece, like everyone's been mentioning, is really difficult for everyone. And even if you're a mature student, going from working full time to full course load, part time work, family, there's just a lot of things to juggle. And ultimately, Humber's goal is to have successful students, right? They want everyone to graduate and be successful and find jobs. So it's important for us to support mental wellness at Humber so that we can have those successful students at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
yeah,
for
yeah. And sorry, just to add on real quick, I think how Humber wanting people to be successful is also important because and this is why it's important to talk about it for college students, is because we want them to have the skills when they leave, right? Have it, because not for there's mature students coming back to school, but for me, when I left school, I found stresses of the job, especially when jobs don't turn out like you think they are, or
Right.
you want to. It'd be great if you had kind of the skills to de-stress or handle anxiety, or at the very least know where to kind of get help. And I think school is a great place to talk about that because there's so many resources to kind of start the mental health kind of foundation and discussions.
Yeah, that's a great point. And just to add on to that, it seems like, yeah, like what you're talking about, David, like it's great to have the resources all in one place. And it almost seems like even though there's so much for us to juggle as college students, like it's a safe place for us to fail and to make mistakes and to figure things out and to really use those resources to help us get through those things so that we feel better equipped for when we actually enter like into those workplaces. And, it seems like messing up feels so much more costly. So um, definitely like using the college experience to your advantage, as stressful as it is, actually will just make you so much stronger when you get out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. So my next question for everybody is, how can we start conversations about mental health?
I feel like a good part of that is you don't have to be, I guess, more like direct about it, but just letting your friends or letting someone know that you're there for them, and it's just being with them. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, like um going to them and say like, oh, do we need to talk, but just saying like, I'm here if you do want to talk. It's just having the availability to be open to letting your friends and loved ones know that you are there for them and that this is something that we should be talking about.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, for sure. And I think kind of talking about that, I think being open about kind of personal experiences uh, is also probably would be very helpful, especially and you kind of see this with mainly with celebrities or influencers that when they talk about things like depression or anxiety, especially from people that you wouldn't think from, whether it's a career or the persona, just to know that other people go through this as well. And then and celebrities and influencers is one thing, but if your friend comes up and says that either talks openly about it or is even they start the conversation to me like, hey, I need this kind of service, do you know where I could get some help? I think it's a great way to start you know the community, the conversation, in especially your local friend group. Even I feel like that's like a strong start.
For sure. I think definitely promoting that, environment of kindness will let people like feel like they can open up to you. But I think that also like what you were saying, David, about like sharing your own experiences. I think if you are like maybe the first one to open up about these things, then people will actually relate to you, right? And then they feel like that they're safe to open up themselves. And another thing that you mentioned, David, about like the celebrity culture, I mean, like I think this actually just goes for like all of social media. It really promotes this feeling of having to be perfect and always putting your best foot forward, and that can be like a lot of pressure for people. So I think that it's really important to have these conversations just to ground everybody and make people realize that they're human and that it's actually a good thing to show vulnerability, because when you show vulnerability then you can show like empathy, right? You can empathize with people from that vulnerability. um, but
Very
Dana,
well
is there
said.
anything that you would like to add on to that?
Yeah, I think I agree with everyone, and I think even just when we ask someone like, "Hey, how you doing?" and say, "Oh, I'm okay," and we leave it at that. But even if we maybe ask a little bit more, like, "Oh, are you just okay?" or just kind of following up a little bit more, not really probing too much, but at least opening that window to say, the generic answer, it's just a generic answer, but giving them an opportunity to actually give you their real answer. We're so used to just saying, I'm good, but we're not really, right? Just like we type LOL, we're not really laughing out loud. It's just what we do. So just being open and providing that space for people to, give more than the generic response, and know that they're comfortable with you and giving that response. And I agree with sharing your personal experience. Just even if you know that somebody might be struggling and you just happen to start talking about your own mental health and your own struggles, that might even give them the window to say, hey, yeah, I feel that way too. So just making it a little bit more of a normal conversation, checking in with each other every day, makes it a lot easier for everyone.
For sure. So for our last question of today's talk is, how can we work as a community to destigmatize and normalize mental health wellness?
Just talk about it.
yeah, talk about it for
Right?
sure, and to not be afraid to, and even to like inspire people to not only talk but maybe even just think about it. Like I was talking about sharing personal experiences, and that might and that might be a good strategy. Maybe you have a close friend, or someone that you suspect might be struggling with it. Like maybe they're going through something that you went through in the past that are kind of clear signs. And so if you start talking about it, and then maybe they'll see for themselves, and especially if they come from a background where it wasn't talked about, they might never even have thought of it, right? So maybe if they just had like anxiety or stress, to them, they might have just thought that they were just like, oh, I just need to work harder, or I just need to like study more, or they might just have those thoughts that it's just that they need to work more, but it might be something deeper that ideally should be addressed and at least investigated, right? And if it's nothing serious, or something that could be worked on fairly fairly simply, then that's great. But if it's something serious, then that's something you want to know, right?
For sure. I have a question specifically for Dana. What would you say, really, if you can put in your own words, what is like the stigma around mental health from what you've seen?
I think the stigma around mental health is the word crazy, right? So there's this, if you go back in years past, there were mental institutions and wards, and you see it on movies where people are in white jackets and straight coats and things like that, right? So we think, oh no, those people have problems, not realizing that we all have mental health, just like we all have physical health that we need to take care of. We go check in with the doctor all the time. We all have mental health, right? And for some people, their mental health turns into mental illness, just like our physical health sometimes turns into physical illness. It's all the same for everyone, but that negative stigma, I think, comes from just years past of people not being aware and knowledgeable about how it affects everyone, and not just certain populations or certain illnesses or things like that. So in my eyes, that's really what it is. It's also cultural. A lot of cultures have their own stigma for mental health and mental illness. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's just more about sharing knowledge and learning more and being more open, so that we can all be on the same page about what mental health is and that it affects all of us.
For sure. Elliot, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, joining back on what David was kind of talking about too, is just embracing that sense of welcoming people and being nice, because as kind of like with the stigma and everything, you never truly know what someone's going through. So it's just being welcoming, being nice. Maybe your smile to them walking down the hall is gonna change their day and lighten their mood. So it's little things that can matter.
For sure. I guess the way I see it is that, how do I put this into words? Like, addressing these things, it's not, it's not a pretty conversation. It doesn't, when someone is struggling with mental health, they don't act in a way that, like, it seems like they take it out in like other people or a situation. So if you see that someone is just like acting out in a certain way, that could probably mean that they're just struggling with their mental health. And so I know it's easy to dismiss people for like, oh, this person is rude, or this person, is really unpleasant. A lot of the time is really stemming from something inside. So I think that approaching people more with kindness, or more than kindness, but also trying to understand what their viewpoint is, and having a real conversation about like why they think these certain ways, or like, how these things affected them, I think you would actually get down to the root of how to help this person. So I think it's more than just being kind to this person, but trying to understand people in general, and then promote that culture of kindness that we want to promote, right? But I think we should also just understand that, these things aren't pleasant. They're not pretty, right? And you have to, like, we have to get used to that. And to really get to the root of how to help someone is understanding them on a deeper level for that, and like try to get them the help they need in a way that actually will work for them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a big part of destigmatizing is to realize that is to not is I don't know what the phrasing is, to kind of remove. I think what some people might have a fear of, like, it might become a label onto them, right? So if if you had that persona, or if just within your group or with your workplace you were known as as you didn't have any kind of like anything noticeable per se, and even if you have everything well managed, right, like you've got the help you needed, but maybe if someone just comes out with they have like depression or ADHD or anxiety or things like that, then all of a sudden I think they might be worried that all of a sudden, especially for like workplaces, that they might start to have second thoughts about your duties and stuff like that, when if they had never brought it up, then no one would have noticed, right? So I think part of the stigma is just, and I think the key word is to normalize, is the fact that it's it's normal, so to speak, right? So, and
It is.
yeah,
Everyone deals
Yeah,
with
and
sorry, go ahead, Dana.
yeah, when you say normal, that means me, you, all of us, right? It's something that could affect us, it could not, right? So just kind of realizing when you see somebody who is struggling, just think to yourself, how would you want to be treated if you were in their shoes? Because it could be you too, right? We all might have moments in our life where our mental health might kind of decline. We have times where it's going to go back up, just like our physical health. So if you just kind of think of it that way, then it kind of puts things into perspective when we normalize it that way.
For sure. I really like those points that, everyone is dealing with their own form of mental health issues, own struggles, right? And that, like, I liked your point about, when you're in the workplace and then you think that, you're labeled as something. I think just like treating people more with more compassion, and thinking of them as like an actual person, and like a person like you who has emotions and feelings and have up days and off days, right? I think like we'll just go so much farther into creating a better culture of where we can actually be open about these things, and not think that we have to be perfect and put on, a mask for work, right? And feel like we can actually bring our authentic selves to the workplace, right? Without fear. And I just think everyone would be happier that way.
yeah,
Absolutely.
sure.
That was amazing. Yeah, I feel like I should be taking notes, because these are some really good tips to be talking about. Like, very good.
All right. Well, is there anything that someone wants to add? Like, do you folks have any questions, or if not, then I can just wrap this up. So it does bring us to the end of this live, and thank you for everyone who is tuning in, and a special thanks to Dana, Elliot, and David for joining us today. And again, if you're tuning into the replay, just mention that in the comments by typing in replay. So again, to wrap things up, Dana, our health promotions coordinator, what mental health supports are available to Humber and Guelph-Humber students?
So available to Humber and Guelph-Humber, we do have, if you don't know about SWAC, Student Wellness Accessibility Center. So in that center, we do have health services. So we do have nurses available. If you are in crisis and you need to speak to someone right away, you can speak to a mental health nurse. And we do have doctors by appointment for supports if you might need an evaluation. We also have counselors available, so they can help you with, everyday stressors, kind of work through difficulties you might be going through. And then, of course, we have accessible learning services. So if you do have a disability that you like to disclose or a challenge that you like to disclose, you can look for accommodations with them to help you be more successful in your academics. Also, we do have some online resources, and of course we're virtual right now, so you can access counseling and health and ALS virtually. You go on our website, you can see exactly how to do it. You can call and make an appointment. We also have some virtual services that we are promoting. So we have TAO, T-A-O, Therapy Assisted Online. So we do have access to counselors and mental health workers and programs where you can work through. So suppose you're struggling with anxiety, then you can go through a module working through your anxiety. So it's kind of self-led work. So if you're interested in that, you can do that as well. And if you go on our website, you'll see the login. You just need your Humber email access to log in. Also, Keep Me Safe is a newer one that we're promoting, and that's really good for international students because they have multiple languages available. So, and it's also culturally sensitive. So if you come from a country where you're not really sure because you don't really talk about mental health in your country, then you can just speak to somebody from your culture, and that will give you maybe more of a soft place to land, who has a better understanding of how things work where you're from. And we also have Good to Talk, which is a helpline that we often promote. And it's specifically for college students, where you can call 24/7 if you're in crisis or you need just to talk to somebody, to access that phone line. But either way, if you're unsure, you could always call us at SWAC, and we can direct you in whatever area you need support in. So we got you, regardless.
We definitely got you. You listed off so many great supports for students, and we will have that in the description when this video goes up and be posted. So check those out. Definitely, they're fantastic resources. And on Bell Let's Talk Day, which is this Thursday, January 28th, Bell will donate 5 cents to Canadian mental health programs for every applicable text, local or long distance call, tweet, or TikTok video using the hashtag #BellLet'sTalk, and every Facebook, Instagram, all of the things that you can imagine, YouTube, Twitter, all of those, for the view of their Bell Let's Talk video and for the use of their Bell Let's Talk Facebook frame and Snapchat filter. So this is all at no cost beyond what you would normally pay for like internet and service providing for phone access as well. So join in on the conversation. All you have to do is use the hashtag #BellLet'sTalk and watch their video, and you can help keep the conversation going. So again, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to all of our amazing guests. We had such an awesome conversation today. I really think that we brought up some excellent points that people can take away from. And honestly, if you have some comments yourself, please leave them in our comments and start a conversation there. So thank you for joining. Any last comments you folks would like to put in before we end off?
Just thank you for hosting this and having this chat and being able to have this conversation.
Yeah, sure. I think it's definitely important for students to know what's available to them, and that they shouldn't feel alone or afraid to discuss this.
For sure. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, Humber.